when I look at the game and who kind of saw the game for what it was years before I did, and so many things I just kind of, even when I try to go my own way, I kind of come back to looking at it from an outside perspective, and I'm like, I feel like Vlad kind of foresaw the right way to do this from a business perspective early on. So I have to give it to you. I feel like you are the true OG of this content shit, regardless of if you get credit. There might be people who come along that are more famous or, funnier or cooler to people or whatever. But ultimately, to me, you're the OG of all this shit because you kind of saw it all before we all sort of did.
Thank you. I think that, how everyone's talking about clipping these days. Oh, I should clip that part of the interview. Like I started out.
And they do it with no shame. Yeah. You did it, and you're the first person through the wall, so you got attacked for it over and over and over.
Yeah, it was, and I that was sort of like the hard part in the beginning because I would clip everything, right? The interview would be coming out in clips. So, Breakfast Club would do an interview, but they put it out as one long piece. They wouldn't take the flack of focusing in on the most kind of controversial part because other people would clip it up. But I would clip up my own shit. Because I'm like, well, what's the point? People are going to do this anyways, and I'm not going to benefit from it. They're going to benefit from doing this to my content anyway, so why don't I just do this to my content to begin with? And now it's considered perfectly normal, but at the time, it was like, we're not going to do Vlad TV because he's going to break it up. And it's just like, well, someone has to be first.
Yeah.
And someone has to take the barbs, and the jabs and so forth. Like, people call me the police for asking the really hard questions, and now, when you look at a lot of these platforms like Drink Champs and stuff like that, they ask the same kind of hard questions. You know what I'm saying? It's like, being first out, you take the flack, but you also get the benefit. I'm not complaining, man. I think it's been a dope journey. I've surpassed any of my expectations to be here. I did not think I'd be here. I think of me struggling, at 29, 30 years old, 31 years old, trying to figure out my way in life and in music and in this industry and so forth, and just barely able to pay my rent and not having $1,000 in the bank, knowing that my car breaking down will wipe that out and then I'll be at zero again, and trying to figure out what exactly my niche is and how to get by and so forth. And now where I am, where I have a company, I have, I'm comfortable, I have, savings. I could retire if I want to retire.
But if you retire, what happens with all this energy that you wake up with every day?
I don't know.
It's kind of hard to imagine,
I'm not really
right?
ready to retire, I guess.
Yeah.
But, I'm 50. Am I going to be doing interviews at 90? If I live that long? That'd be a little weird, I think.
I always used to say that I couldn't imagine my parents retiring because they were just such hardworking people. By the time they actually did retire, it was very easy for me to understand that they needed to retire. Like, I think your body, when you hit 60, when you hit 65, whatever it is, whatever age you decide that you want to hang it up, it's just, I think your body and your mind kind of tells you when it's time.
Yeah, but TK Kirkland is 63 and he's still touring his ass off. He has like a Live Nation deal. He's still doing interviews. He still looks good. He's well built. You know what I'm saying? He's healthy. He's doing his thing still. So you just never know. John Witherspoon was touring up until he died.
All you got to do is look at our presidential candidates this time around.
Yo, they look like corpses. Well, I mean, Biden looks like a corpse.
Right.
What I mean?
But to be fair, he may look like a corpse, but this is also a dude who's out there running around doing God knows what day in, day out. I assume the amount of effort that a Donald Trump or a Joe Biden are putting out every day is probably pretty ridiculous. So.
Oh, yeah. They work way harder than us.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't have days off like you and I have.
Right.
Weekends off. Nah. So it's one of those things, man. I mean, I don't know when I'm going to retire. It'd be nice to hand off Vlad TV to somebody. I see, like, for example, how World Star is still a strong brand, years after Q passed away. They ended up selling the company, but, the new owners have kept it alive and it's still a viable media outlet. I think that would be dope to have Vlad TV go on for generations after I pass away.
Even when I went on a honeymoon for a month last year, And, well, actually, that's not a good example because I'm talking about like the business being able to exist without me. It was actually a very, very low time period for us view-wise and everything like that because I had just gone through all the hosts leaving and everything. But I think ultimately the thing that you or I are trying to create, what would really make me feel like I had accomplished something great is if by the time I'm ready to slow down or step back is if I had a business that made sense that I was able to continue with. And I don't necessarily know that that's possible because let's be real, this is such a competitive marketplace and there's nobody who's been successful without also basically being the person on camera for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, WorldStar has done it.
To an extent.
You got to give it to WorldStar. No, they still have a pretty big YouTube channel. They have a very big IG page.
But the YouTube channel just posts
other people's videos, but it's still a hub for other people's videos.
Right. But from like a conversational or podcast type setup, you know.
No, yeah, they don't do a lot of original content.
Right.
They try. They have like Damn Homie and like you know, I think they're trying to do something. But yeah, you're right. I mean, if Joe Rogan walks away,
right.
I mean, is there a Rogan podcast anymore? You know.
And that doesn't seem to be his aim, but I think you could say that about everybody. If Academics walks away, there's no academics channel. If Joe Budden walks away, you got a bunch of hosts. How long are the people going to stay tuned in? I don't know. It would probably get cut in half or cut down to a quarter or cut down to 10%. We don't really know.
Even less than that.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I knew you would think of something. Like an IBM over here.
For you guys, two white guys, appreciate it.
All right, that's where we're gonna end it.
That's where we're gonna end it.
Piece of shit. He's a funny guy, right?
Hey man, listen, I'm actually and I gotta hand it to you because I think you even mentioned this. Like, me and Wack didn't talk for 10 years. Right. And what made me open to the conversation was your relationship with Wack.
Right. Realizing that I was able to.
Yeah. If you're, and I'm like, and you and I are similar in regards, like, you know, like you and I both don't get along with Dame Dash. You know what I'm saying? We both tried. We both gave up.
We both want to do straight up business and we're not really trying to involve ourselves with crazy egomaniacs that want to be able to twist the scenario at all times. Yeah.
Exactly. And the fact that you and Wack have a good business relationship made me think that, all right, so, you know, the 2023 Wack is probably a different Wack than I dealt with before. If he gets along with Adam, there's a good chance that me and him could have a conversation and actually have a respectful relationship as well. And that's where we are right now. And, you know, he came in, I mean, he helped bring game to Vlad TV. That ended up being a very big interview for us, you know, 2023. His interview actually did really big numbers as well. And I think that was like the first interview with Wack that I think people really got to know him as a person.
He was quite different on yours. It was, you know, he was just much more honest, straight up, answering the questions. Literally, the version of him that I get on here quite often is like the crazy, mischievous troublemaker
turned
guy.
up, more troll-like and
which
stuff
is fun.
like that. Yeah, it is fun. But for
if you keep interviewing him, you'll start to get more and more
I'll start to get more of that. All right, so our second interview.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, but thank you. You know, I mean, like I said, I want to give you your props for, you know, what you've done with Wack led to me having a good relationship with Wack as well.